The derelict and the engineer, the salvage ship Iron Whisper drifted through the cold silence above a dying moon. Scanners picked up a faint distress signal, pulsing once every few seconds, a heartbeat from something ancient and broken. The human engineer, Rin, stood at the observation port and watched the dark hull of the alien wreck come into view. No lights, no movement, only a ship cracked open like a rusted shell in the void. "Looks dead," muttered the pilot. Rin shook his head. "No signal dies by accident. Someone's keeping it alive." He grabbed his tool pack and headed for the airlock. The crew tried to stop him, but he'd been born with the same stubborn curiosity that drove humans to touch stars they did not understand. Crossing the gap between ships, his boots clanked against the alien hull. The metal was unlike anything Terran scanners recognized, smooth, almost alive. When he cut through the hatch, a gust of cold air escaped like a sigh. Inside, the corridors were lit by flickering blue symbols that crawled across the walls like fireflies in code. Then he heard it. A sound, soft and metallic. A figure moved in the dark, wrapped in a sleek exo-suit of silver plates and cables. The helmet was mirrored, concealing everything. The being turned toward him, raising a hand in warning. Her voice came through his comlink, clear and calm. "Do not interfere. The core is unstable." "You need help," Rin said, lowering his cutter. "I can stabilize it if you show me the interface." "I am the interface," she replied. He watched as she moved with precise grace, reconnecting tubes and lines with hands that glowed faintly through the armor. But her movements were slowing. The ship's core spun wildly, spewing arcs of energy that scorched the walls. Without thinking, Rin lunged forward to hold a ruptured conduit in place. The shock nearly knocked him out, but it gave her time to seal the breach. "Why did you do that?" she demanded. "Because you were about to die." "I am replaceable," she said quietly. "Humans never learn that they are not." He almost laughed through the pain. "Guess that's why we're still alive." For a moment, the alien engineer stood silent. Then she reached up and unlatched her helmet. The metal folded open like petals of a mechanical flower. Rin's breath caught in his throat. Her face was not what he expected. No tentacles, no chitin, no cold insectoid eyes. Her skin was pale gold, her eyes a deep blue that reflected light like a storm over the sea. A cascade of silver hair fell around her shoulders. She looked human, almost too human. Only the lines of glowing circuitry running from her neck to her cheeks hinted that she was something more. Rin froze in shock. His mind raced for explanations. No record in Terran archives spoke of a species this similar to humans. It was as if someone had sculpted her in their own image. "You're staring," she said softly. Her voice without the helmet's filter was melodic, almost sad. "Sorry," he stammered. I didn't expect you to be familiar." She finished for him. "Yes, you wouldn't be the first." She walked past him to the control panel. Her fingers moved in patterns he could barely follow. Data symbols flashed across the wall. "She's alive," the engineer murmured to herself. "The ship still remembers me." "Who are you?" Rin asked. "My designation is not for you," she said without looking back. "But you may call me what you understand, an engineer. And you called for help?" "I called for silence," she corrected. The signal was a warning to keep others away. "Well, too late for that," Rin replied with a half smile. "You should have known humans don't ignore trouble." That almost made her smile, though she quickly hid it. "You should not be here. This ship carries technology your species is not meant to see." "Then why do I feel like it was built for us anyway?" he said, gazing at the human-shaped control panels and the English-like symbols etched beneath alien script. Her silence answered more than words ever could. The core's humming deepened, a low growl that made the deck vibrate. "Backup power failing," she said quickly. "If we don't finish repairs, the reactor will collapse and erase this sector from existence." "Then we fix it," Rin said, grabbing his tools. She looked at him like someone seeing a ghost from a story long forgotten, and as they worked side by side in the dim blue light, the human realized the truth. Whatever she wasn't just an alien. She was a mirror to humanity's own lost past. The hybrid secret. The reactor's vibration eased as the final power conduit sealed with a low hum. Dim blue light returned to the corridor, pulsing gently like the ship was breathing again. The alien engineer stepped back, shoulders rising and falling in quiet relief. Rin leaned against the bulkhead, sweat rolling down his forehead beneath the helmet. "Stable?" he asked. "For now," she answered. Your interference saved the core, human. But now you must go. He blinked at her calm tone. Go after all that? You think I'm walking away now? She turned to him, eyes glowing faintly beneath the silver strands of her hair. You do not understand what this ship holds. If your people discover it, every empire will come for you. That's not exactly new for us, he muttered. We've had half the galaxy trying to erase us for centuries. Something flickered in her expression. Recognition, maybe even guilt. She looked away, pressing her palm against a symbol on the wall. Holographic data spilled into the air, forming shapes that looked like human DNA spiraling through alien circuitry. Rin stepped closer, watching the glowing strands merge and twist. That's human code, he said in disbelief. Yes, she whispered. It is part of me. He stared at her. Part of you? You mean, I am hybrid, she said, her voice soft but steady. My people call us synthborn. Long ago, a fleet left your world when Earth's sky turned to fire. Some of your kind survived the exodus and mixed with ours. For generations, we thought your species had perished. But we kept your patterns, your language, your machines. Even our ships carry your imprint. Rin's throat tightened. You're saying, humans built this? Not this vessel, she said, shaking her head. But the technology that birthed it began with your ancestors. The core design is human. It was altered, perfected, hidden beneath alien hands. The Council forbade such blending, said it would corrupt both species. But we continued the research in secret. Rin took a slow breath. And that's why you called for silence. You didn't want anyone to find you. I did not call for rescue, she said quietly. I called for the void. I was meant to die here, taking the data with me. The words hit harder than he expected. She said it like a confession, not a choice. He saw the exhaustion in her stance, the kind of weariness born from running too long. Then why did you fight so hard to fix the ship? He asked. She looked at him for a long moment. Because you came. For the first time, the silence between them wasn't tense. It was heavy with something else, a strange connection neither of them could name. Rin looked at the hologram again, eyes tracing the glowing strands of DNA. You said your people mixed with ours. Then why hide? Why not tell the galaxy that humanity's still alive? She turned away, walking deeper into the corridor. Because the galaxy fears you. They always have. You came from a death world, a place where life refuses to die. To them, you are chaos made flesh. Every time a human appears, empires fall. He gave a half smile. Sounds about right. She didn't smile back. You think it is pride, but it is terror. The last time humans reached the stars, the old powers burned entire systems to stop them. The Council made a law. No human blood shall enter their fleets. No human machine shall control their skies. Rin felt the cold of space sink into him. And you broke that law. Her gaze met his again. Yes, because we need you. He stepped closer. Need me for what? She lifted her hand and the hologram shifted again, this time showing a schematic of something massive. A ship. Sleek, circular, unlike any design Rin had seen before. This is the Lumicore, she said. An engine that uses human neural resonance to open folds in space itself. It can travel not through hyperspace, but through the space between life and time. Rin frowned. You're telling me this thing runs on thought? On will, she corrected. And only humans have the right kind. Why me then? He asked. I'm just an engineer with a worn-out wrench and too many scars. She tilted her head slightly as if studying him. Because when the ship began to fail, it called for help. Not a distress signal, but a genetic echo. It searched for someone compatible. It called you, Rin. The air between them seemed to thrum with quiet energy. Rin swallowed hard. So I wasn't just lucky. No, she said. You were chosen. For a long moment, neither spoke. The hum of the reactor filled the silence, steady and alive. Outside, the moon's surface reflected the dim light of distant suns. Rin finally broke the quiet. If this ship's what you say it is, then we can't leave it here. Someone will find it. Her eyes narrowed slightly. You would risk your life for something you do not understand? He smiled faintly. That's what humans do best. For the first time, she almost smiled. Then perhaps humanity was never truly lost. The blue light brightened, casting their shadows across the metallic corridor. Somewhere deep in the ship, ancient systems stirred, awakened by a bond that neither alien nor human could explain. And as the engines began to whisper again, The hybrid engineer looked at the human beside her and realized something terrifying. The future of both their species had just been reignited. The Alliance blueprint. The alien ship's lights glowed brighter now, like it was waking from a long slumber. Rin and the hybrid engineer stood in the control chamber, the air vibrating softly with energy. Outside, the shattered moon hung like a broken ornament, silent and gray. Rin crossed his arms, staring at the holographic projection floating before them. The sleek circular ship design, labeled Lumicore, rotated slowly in midair, lines of data streaming beside it. "You're telling me this thing could cross the galaxy in seconds?" he asked. The engineer nodded. "If completed, yes. The Lumicore doesn't tear space, it folds it inward, creating a bridge through thought and resonance. But it's only possible because of your kind's neural structure. Humans can imprint stability through chaos. No other species can." He frowned, studying the hologram. "You make it sound like we're machines." She glanced at him. "No, you're worse. Machines obey logic. Humans defy it, and in defiance, they create balance." Rin gave a small laugh. "Never heard a better insult and compliment in one line." Her lips twitched slightly, though her expression remained serious. "This project was meant to unite two civilizations, ours and yours. The Council declared it heresy, erased every record, and hunted those who tried to complete it. My ship carried the last fragment of the design." "And that fragment's inside this ship?" Rin asked. "In its core memory," she replied. "But the data is encrypted with human DNA locks. It needs a living signature to unlock it." Rin sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Let me guess. I'm the key." "You are the last compatible human we've found," she said quietly. He looked at her, searching for any sign of deceit, but found only a calm determination. "You risked your life for this," he said. "For something forbidden." "I risked my life for the truth," she replied. "For what we once were." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Rin stepped closer to the projection, his eyes tracing the strange combination of Terran blueprints and alien glyphs. It was beautiful, both familiar and utterly foreign. "So what happens if we finish it?" he asked. She hesitated. "Then everything changes. The Council's control depends on keeping the species divided. If humanity learns that its technology once ruled the stars, the balance of power collapses." Rin gave a short whistle. "Sounds like they're scared of us." "They are," she said simply. "You are unpredictable. You adapt, you evolve, you refuse to die. Even after exile, after extinction, your kind still echoes through our machines." He turned toward her. "Maybe it's time we stopped being echoes." For a moment their eyes met, blue and brown, human and hybrid, bridging centuries of silence between two worlds that should have never forgotten each other. Then the ship shuddered. Warning lights flared crimson along the corridor. The hologram flickered violently before fading. "What now?" Rin barked. She ran to the console, fingers flying across the controls. "Someone's scanning us." "A Council patrol is in the sector." Rin's jaw tightened. "They followed the signal?" "Impossible," she muttered. "I encrypted it, but perhaps the core's reactivation triggered a trace." "Can we cloak?" he asked. Her silence was answer enough. "Then we need to move," Rin said. "My ship's still docked outside. We can transfer the data to its mainframe. Finish the repairs there." She looked at him sharply. "Your ship cannot contain this technology. Its systems would melt." "Not if we isolate the link manually," he said. "I can reroute the quantum relays through analog filters, keep the core stable while we move it." She stared at him, surprise flickering across her face. "You understand our systems that well?" "I've been breaking alien tech for half my life," he said with a grin. "Sometimes it helps to think like a human, reckless and stubborn." Despite the danger, a small laugh escaped her. "You really are what they feared." "Good," Rin said. "Let's give them a reason to." Together they began the transfer. Energy lines pulsed across the ship's interior as the Lumicore's design streamed into portable storage. Sparks flew from the conduits, lighting their faces in ghostly blue and white. The ship shook again, harder this time. Through the cracked hull, distant lights flickered in the black, Council patrol vessels closing in. "They're here," she whispered. 3 cruisers armed. Rin snapped his helmet back on. "Then let's not be here when they arrive." The engineer hesitated. "If we leave now, the Council will track the energy trail to your world." "Then we make sure they can't follow," he said, grabbing the last module. "You trust me?" She hesitated only a moment before nodding. "For now." They sprinted through the corridor, past glowing walls and trembling bulkheads. The air crackled with power as the ship began to collapse behind them, systems overloading one by one. At the airlock, she paused, looking back at the dying vessel. She was the last of her kind. She served her purpose, Rin said. Now it's our turn. They launched themselves into the void, magnetic boots catching the side of Iron Whisper as the alien ship behind them exploded in silent light. A bloom of white energy rippled outward, scattering debris like snow. Inside the salvage ship, alarms blared. Rin slammed the airlock shut and powered the engines. "Hold tight," he shouted as the vessel roared to life. Through the viewport, the explosion faded, leaving only darkness. But in that darkness, something new glowed faintly, an icon pulsing on the ship's console. The Lumacore data had survived. The engineer looked at him, her expression unreadable. "You realize what you've done?" Rin grinned. "Yeah, we just stole fire from the gods." Her eyes gleamed faintly in the dim light. "Then may they burn trying to take it back." Outside, the Iron Whisper vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it the blueprint that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. The Council's wrath. The Iron Whisper tore through hyperspace like a wounded animal, its engines screaming against the void. Rin sat in the co-pilot's seat, eyes fixed on the shimmering trail of blue light behind them. The alien engineer stood beside him, one hand gripping the console for balance as alarms blinked across every screen. "They're gaining," she said quietly. "I noticed." Rin muttered. His fingers danced over the controls, rerouting power to the rear shields. "Your council ships move like ghosts." "How close?" "2 jumps," she replied. "Maybe 1 if they push their cores beyond safe limits." Rin glanced at her. "Would they?" She met his gaze. "To stop us?" "Absolutely." Outside the viewport, the stars blurred as the salvage ship dropped from hyperspace into a crimson nebula. Gas clouds swirled around them like blood in water, hiding them for a moment in its dense plasma. Rin powered down the engines, letting the ship drift. "Stealth mode engaged," he said. "With luck, they'll think we jumped further." She turned to him, voice low. "Luck isn't a strategy, human." He gave her a crooked smile. "It's worked so far." She shook her head slightly, but he saw the faintest trace of amusement before her expression hardened again. "The Council fleet will not stop. They fear what you carry." "Then they should," Rin said, tapping the console where the glowing Lumacore icon pulsed faintly. "This thing's proof that they've been lying for centuries. That humans didn't vanish and we were erased." She hesitated. "If that truth spreads, entire civilizations will riot. Empires will fall." Rin leaned back, eyes cold. "Good. Maybe it's time they did." Before she could respond, the ship's sensors screamed. 3 massive signatures emerged from hyperspace. Council cruisers, their hulls shimmering silver and gold, forming a triangle around the nebula. "They found us," she said, her voice sharp. "Of course they did," Rin grumbled. "Guess luck ran out." The comms crackled, a cold, formal voice filling the cabin. "Unidentified Terran vessel. This is the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. You are harboring restricted technology and an outlawed hybrid. Power down your engines and surrender immediately or be destroyed." Rin smirked. "They're polite. Almost refreshing," she frowned. "You cannot fight them, Rin. Their weapons will cut through this ship in seconds." He turned to her. "Then we don't fight. We outthink them." Her eyes narrowed. "Explain." He stood and opened the access panel beside the console, revealing a cluster of tangled wires and flickering conduits. "We can use the Lumacore's resonance field to reflect their scans. Make it look like we're somewhere else. But it'll need manual calibration." "That's suicide," she said flatly. "Exposure to the resonance could kill you." "Yeah, well, dying's not on the schedule," he said, already pulling tools from his belt. "You said it yourself. Humans are chaos. Time to make that work for us." Before she could stop him, he was crawling into the maintenance tunnel, sparks showering around him as he rerouted the ship's systems. The Iron Whisper groaned like a living thing as the Lumacore's energy began to surge through its circuits. In the cockpit, the engineer's hands flew across the controls, amplifying the human's adjustments. "Resonance field at 50%, she said into the comm. "Rin, if you push it further, the core will overload." His voice came through, ragged but determined. "Then make sure it counts." Outside, the Council cruisers opened fire. Beams of white energy sliced through the nebula, tearing clouds apart. The Iron Whisper rocked violently, alarms howling. "Rin!" she shouted, almost his voice cut off in static. Then suddenly the sensors went dark. The Council fleet's targeting systems flickered and failed. On their displays, the human ship simply vanished. The lead cruiser captain barked orders. Where did they go? But the Iron Whisper hadn't moved. It was still there, hidden in a pocket of distorted space, its resonance field cloaking it from every scan. In the cockpit, the alien engineer stared at the readings in disbelief. He did it, she whispered. Then she realized what the silence meant. Rin? No response. She raced to the maintenance tunnel, pulling open the hatch. Rin lay motionless amid the glowing cables, smoke rising from his suit. His hands were burned, his face pale, but when she touched his shoulder, his eyes fluttered open. Still alive, he rasped, grinning weakly. Told you dying wasn't on the plan, she exhaled, relief washing over her features. You fool. Yeah, he muttered. But you're fool, apparently. She didn't answer, but her hand lingered on his arm a moment longer than necessary. The ship trembled again, distant explosions echoing through the nebula. On the viewport feed, one of the Council cruisers erupted in fire, its systems collapsing under the Luma core's resonance feedback. They're retreating, she said softly. They can't detect us anymore. Rin winced as he sat up. Guess we just declared war. She looked at him, eyes filled with something between fear and admiration. You have no idea what you've done. The Council will never stop now. He gave her a lopsided smile. Then we make sure they can't win. The alien engineer stood beside him, her expression calm but resolute. You truly are what they called you long ago. Deathworlders. Rin chuckled. Nah, just engineers with bad luck, she almost smiled again. Then let's see if bad luck can build a revolution. As the nebula's light flickered over their faces, the Iron Whisper drifted silently through the stars, carrying within it the spark of rebellion that would soon ignite across the galaxy. The unveiling of origins. The Iron Whisper limped through the void, its hull scarred and blackened. The faint hum of the engines was the only sound that filled the cabin, a steady reminder that they had survived. Barely. Rin sat against the wall near the engineering console, his hands wrapped in makeshift bandages. Across from him, the alien engineer adjusted the glowing data core that pulsed softly between them like a living heart. You shouldn't be awake, she said without looking up. Your nervous system took a direct surge from the Luma field. Rin smiled faintly. Yeah, well, sleeping while the galaxy hunts us doesn't sound very restful. She paused, her gaze flicking to him for a moment before returning to her work. Your defiance borders on insanity. That's humanity's secret, he said, his grin widening. We never know when to quit. For a long time, neither spoke. The hum of the ship filled the silence as she finished calibrating the data core. Streams of light formed shapes above the floor, blueprints, genetic codes, and star maps spiraling together. It wasn't just a map of technology. It was a history. Rin stood slowly, staring at the projection. What is all this? She touched one of the holographic threads. The truth, she said softly. The origin of everything. As she moved her fingers through the light, the hologram expanded, showing vast cities, towering machines, and ships rising from oceans of blue. Rin's eyes widened. The markings on the vessels were human. Terran. These are records from before the Exodus, she continued. Before the fires consumed your world. Humanity didn't just build ships. You built gateways, bridges through space itself. The first Luma core wasn't alien. It was Terran. Rin stared in disbelief. You're saying humans invented this technology? Not the Council? She nodded slowly. The Council was born from your colonies after the wars. When the original humans vanished, they erased their creators from history to claim dominion. For millennia, they called themselves gods of the stars. But their power was built on your bones. Rin's hands curled into fists. All this time they made us believe we were strays, scavengers, and it was us who built them? She met his gaze. Yes, you are the source they feared. That is why they banished every trace of you. That is why they fear your return. He laughed softly, though it carried no joy. Guess they're right to be afraid. The ship's lights flickered as the Luma core pulsed brighter, almost as if it understood the conversation. The holographic map zoomed in on a single point, a faint blue world surrounded by a dying ring of satellites. Earth, Rin whispered. It still exists, she said. Barely. The council quarantined it, sealing it from the network. No one enters. No one leaves. But the data here, she gestured to the glowing core, contains coordinates to the first gate buried beneath its crust. The original engine that awakened the stars. Rin felt a cold shiver crawl down his spine. And if we reach it? Then humanity wakes up again, she said. Not as exiles, but as engineers of the galaxy once more. The thought hung between them, immense and fragile. Rin turned toward the viewport where distant stars shimmered like sparks waiting for fuel. They'll never let us reach it, he said. Perhaps not, she replied. But they cannot stop the idea. You forget, your kind spreads like wildfire. Even one ember is enough. He looked at her, studying the calm determination in her eyes. You'd risk everything for that? Her lips curved into a faint smile. My kind exists because of yours. If we must burn together to rebuild what was lost, then so be it, Rin chuckled under his breath. You sound more human every minute. Perhaps I always was, she said quietly. The console beeped, a proximity alert. The council's signal, faint but growing, pulsed at the edge of the radar. They had been found again. Rin's expression hardened. No more running, she looked at him sharply. You intend to fight? Not fight, he said, standing tall. Show them. He placed his burned hand on the Lumacore's interface. The light flared instantly, responding to his touch. Circuits came alive, the ship trembling as the air filled with a deep hum. Rin, she said urgently, the system isn't stable. I know, he said. Let's give them a message they'll remember. Outside, the iron whisper erupted in light. A wave of energy rippled across the void, sweeping through the approaching council fleet. Their scanners overloaded, weapons shorted, and navigation systems collapsed. But the light didn't destroy. It revealed. Every council vessel's hull markings flickered, shifting from their proud sigils to the forgotten emblem of an ancient world. A blue planet with a white crescent around it. Earth's seal, buried in their code for millennia. The alien engineer gasped. You've overwritten their systems. With your ancestors' mark. Rin smiled faintly, just giving credit where it's due. As the wave faded, the council ships hung motionless, confusion spreading through their ranks. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy saw the truth written in light. Humanity had been the first. The forgotten architects had returned. Rin slumped against the console, his strength fading. The engineer caught him, her hand pressed against his chest. Stay with me, she said urgently. He smiled weakly. Looks like we made history. She shook her head, her voice trembling. No, we restarted it. Outside, the stars shifted. The Lumacore flared one final time, opening a shimmering fold in space. The iron whisper glided forward, disappearing into the light. When the wave faded, the council fleet remained silent, powerless, staring into the void where a legend had just been reborn. And somewhere beyond that fold, on the path to the forgotten cradle of humankind, a human and a hybrid worked side by side, ready to rebuild what the galaxy had spent eons trying to erase. Humanity had not returned to the stars. It had simply remembered they were always ours. End of the story.